Hello again, everyone. Hope you're all doing extremely well out there, and this is a bit of a different update. Just the fact there's a lot of different stuff to talk about. I got movies, I got some music pickups, I got books to talk about, a lot of things to talk about. There's all very, very positive stuff, with a tinge of things that didn't quite go as planned as much, but right now up on the channel, we just released our commentary for Rambo Last Blood. So go check that out. After you get done with this, go check that out, have a fun time with it. Me and Steve have a very lively conversation about the film where we have a lot of critiques about it, but it's all very talkative, it's very much engaging. I thought it was a very, very good commentary that just really highlighted a lot of things we just really felt needed to be addressed in terms of a Rambo movie with a film that really didn't quite justify itself being a Rambo movie. So there's that, and also I did finish my video, the Forever Cinematic Movie Review, on 52 Pickup, but it got hit with a copyright claim. And this happened on the 28 Days Later video. It's now happened on this one. It seems like I'm having to get the clips from the movie shorter and shorter and shorter now. Usually you could get away with it. If it was under 9 seconds, it'd be fine. But now it seems less than 8 seconds, less than 7 seconds. And it keeps getting shorter and shorter. So it's picking things up more regularly. And the fact is, a lot of these companies are just making it's blocked right away. So then I have to go to either way, I would go to the appeals process. So it'd be because there's two different processes. If they don't block it, if they just demonetize it, then it's a 30-day window. But if they block the thing, then you can escalate up to the appeals process, all that type of stuff. The one where it's just like a 7-day window, they have time to do that, but it's a much more, again, escalated process in that regard. So this all finished up. I spent like half the day Saturday re-editing it over, and I did it like 6 times. I just kept trying to re-edit and readjust the thing, trying to make it get past, and just kept grabbing different clips every time I uploaded it. Despite the fact I kept shortening things here and there, it was just being a pain in the ass and just ruined my Saturday. I was in a real pissy mood the whole thing, and just like I just gave up. And it's like, okay, this is the best version I can upload right now. It has all the tweaks I can possibly make to it. So I'll just put it in the dispute and have to wait 7 days. So it's been since Saturday, and it's still in copyright limbo. If they don't address it before the 7 days expire, it will just automatically release, and there won't be any problems after that. So latest you're going to see this is probably Saturday. So it'll be released then. And Saturday, Steve and I are actually doing our next commentary recording, which will be for the mini-series of Stephen King's It. So as I described before, we're kind of at least planning to record it as kind of 2 separate things, kind of give us a little break in between, right where they had the break from the end of night 1 to night 2. Now as the DVD and the Blu-rays are kind of edited together as one full feature instead of maintaining the 2 separate night format, we just have to kind of adjust things in terms of like, this is where we know the first night ends, so we'll cut it off there. It'll probably like fade to black or something else like that, and then the next scene comes up or whatnot. So Steve will be double checking that on his copy of the film, and we'll move on from there and figure things out and just kind of figure out on the day whether we're going to try to release this as 2 parts or try to see if we can kind of stitch it together as a single thing. So, but probably we'll see what happens. We'll discuss it when we get there and figure it out at that point in time. And probably then the next video will potentially be the Star Wars Attack of the Clones IMAX version for the Retro Video series. Now, just whole thing was like, okay, last week when I was doing 52 Pickup, I knew I wanted to get that done because I was really raring to get it, but then I had the May the 4th thing. It's like, I had the hopeful intention of shooting 2 videos in one weekend. That didn't happen. There's no chance in hell that happening. So that I just like, okay, just leave it be. I'm not going to try racing this. Fortunate thing is when I was on social media, everything on May the 4th, last Saturday, I didn't see any hashtags. I didn't see anything trending. I mean, I saw a lot of people talking about like the Phantom Menace re-release and the big sort of Skywalker saga cinema marathon stuff. But there was no like random posts really about hashtags. There was nothing really to capitalize on, so I didn't feel anything about it. So pace myself, do things as I can do them, get through them. So this week I'm kind of taking it easy since I got commentary out. I got the video is going to be in purgatory right now and released by the end of the week. And then we're recording the new commentary, and that will just kind of float off a little bit there. So I've got some time to relax and rest and deal with other things here. And so I'm mosey on into that one eventually. But big thing is, I went to see The Fall Guy this weekend. And I'll have a little bit of a story about how I eventually kind of pumped myself up to get to it, because things are not going great for me over the weekend. Like I said, after the debacle on Saturday with all that crap, I just wasn't great. But we'll get to things. But I did go see it. I saw it Sunday night at Dolby Cinema, and it was a really good film. I know that the box office didn't speak well of it, despite a lot of good reviews, a lot of good cinema scores, stuff like that. It just didn't quite grab everyone's attention. But I want to tell you guys, this was a very, very good film. Now, the first act has it kind of grinds along a little bit. It takes a little while to really pick up its spark or whatnot on just the snappiness of the plot when it really kicks in and stuff like that. But it really hit off. I mean, David Leitch, wonderful stuntman extraordinaire, as he went off to from like John Wick and then off to Atomic Blonde and Bullet Train and stuff like that, going off to being director, and he does a really fantastic job with this thing. The stunt sequences, the action sequences are absolutely spectacular. Wonderful stuff. And of course, Ryan Gosling's fantastic. He's always fantastic. He's in full nice guys comedy buffoon mode in that regard. Not total buffoon, but enough of a thing where it's like he's a little bit of the bumbling type of character, out of his depth, trying to deal with a situation where there's a lot of comedy, wonderful stuff. I thought it was really, really good. The cast is wonderful. Like I said, once it really kicks into gear, the thing just soars, and it has wonderful, inventive, fantastic moments of comedy. It's great sight gags, great things all over the place. Sort of the rom-com aspect of Ryan Gosling's stunt man kind of wanting to rekindle this relationship with Emily Blunt's director character, stuff like that. And it's got wonderful little weaving qualities back and forth all over the place in that regard. And the thing just keeps upping the ante and had some great pieces of the soundtrack. Wonderful stuff. There's one thing I need from this film. I need Ryan Gosling's Miami Vice stunt team jacket. Because they say in the film, he got it because it apparently was like in the story of the film, that was one of his first gigs, being part of this Universal Studios stunt spectacular in that regard. And I love the jacket. There is a music cue later on in the film that pays the whole thing off. I loved it. I pop for a Miami Vice reference every time. It was great. And then they kept hitting it off. And if you love Kisses, I Was Made for Loving You, this film has it all over the place. It's like the main theme of the movie, and it's woven into the score. It's like a Bond theme in that regard. It was crazy. They chose this particular song. It starts out with that song. It just flows through all over the place. They even have a cover version of it along with the original Kiss version and all the stuff they're doing in the score. It's out of control. It's wonderful. It's just a really, really wonderful type of time. I loved on the end credits where they played like all the behind the scenes like footage of the stunts going on here and there, along with the original theme song to the television series. And so they really did a wonderful love letter to the stuntman, stunt teams, all that type of stuff. It's phenomenal. It's really, really a wonderful big screen type of thing. I definitely implore you guys, go check it out whenever you have the time. Don't wait for streaming. Definitely go see this on a big screen, because it really, really is worthwhile. The quality of what you got on the screen is fantastic. You're really gonna roar. Everyone in the theater wasn't a packed theater in any regard, but the people that were in my screening had a really fun time with it. We're howling, we're laughing, stuff like that. I thought it was really well done. So, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 type of thing is a really, really high grade type of thing. I thought really, really did a good job with the whole thing. So I definitely implore you guys. So as things went along over the weekend, I just had to get myself up to a really positive thing, because I really wanted to I was up late on Friday getting the 52 pickup thing finished as an edit, and then the copyright thing kicked in, and it just ripped up my entire afternoon. It got me in a really bad state of affairs. And so the next day, I really had to make a concerted effort to make sure I got into a better, positive mindset, because I woke up, I was like hemming and hawing, going for an earlier screening. I just didn't feel like it. It's like, here, there, and everywhere, whatnot. But I really did take time for myself to make myself feel better throughout the course of the day, to make sure I could feel like I want to go out and do something. Because I don't want to sit in a theater and feel kind of half-hearted in the whole thing. I'm kind of mulling about. And it's like, you want to go into a theater feeling good about yourself. You want to feel like you want to engage with the film and feel what the film is feeling. Because a lot of times I'll go in, if I'm tired or I'm just kind of out of it, it's like it doesn't have the experience. You don't get the full experience. Even when I'm sitting here at home, if I'm after work and I'm kind of tired and is not quite feeling it, then it just doesn't have the magic to it. So there's all the things about engaging with the film in the best possible mindset and feeling you could possibly get yourself into. So a little bit of that later on when I talk about what I did on Sunday. But as I got a lot of media pickups lately, they're all 4Ks, so you can talk about that type of stuff here. And of course, I had to get this one. I watched it last night as I just got it from Prime. I got The Crow on 4K. And let me tell you, this looks wonderful. It looks absolutely wonderful. Dolby Vision. Still the same 5.1 mix on the whole thing, but this looked absolutely beautiful. The detail is so wonderful. It's such a wonderfully well restored film in that regard. Cinematographer Darius Wolski supervised the actual transfer. And he's worked on this obviously, but he's also worked with Ridley Scott, Tony Scott, Gore Verbinski, Rob Marshall, a lot of people. The guy is a really, really good cinematographer. I really much trusted him to make sure this looked absolutely wonderful and very faithful, and it looks exactly that. So good. It just looks so pinpoint wonderful. So good. Just like that, again, fine grain, the detail. The fact that the film is very monochromatic, and so they didn't kind of like do anything with the colors or whatnot. It looks really just subtle and really well done. The light and shadow came out very well, because there's certain points in time in the film where like they're up in like top dollar's place, and they got these kind of like rotating searchlight type of things going on throughout the entire scene. So sometimes the searchlight goes across the face and it really blows it out, but they made sure that they're dialing it in the right way, where the much more consistent lighting in the entire scene is sort of evened out in that regard, so it doesn't blow that out, or they're trying to darken it up to make the highlight kind of not blow out. So I really just appreciated looking at the details of the lighting, the production quality, the art direction, all that type of stuff that really come out very well in the cinematography of this transfer here. And there is a new featurette on this thing from the production designer. I watched about 2/3 of it, and it was really, really, really interesting how he was talking about his process of meeting James O'Barr and going to Detroit and kind of seeing the actual landscapes and the environment that kind of bore out the original comic book. And so getting that and tying that into his background of being in London in the 70s and dealing with the punk scene and stuff like that, there was a very good synergy between the two of them in terms of the art direction to kind of strive for and kind of keep faithful to what happened in the comic and replicate that so much in the entire film. So then there's a little Sideshow Collectibles interview with Edward R. Pressman, the producer on the film, which I didn't watch, but they also include both commentary tracks, one with Proyas and the earlier one from Jeff Most and screenwriter John Shirley. So I think only the Proyas one was the one that was on the previous Blu-ray, but the other one was from the DVD version. So now you have both of them carried over, and so it's very, 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 I think it's fairly complete. I think there might be a few like galleries or whatnot from the Blu-ray that are not on this thing, and this only comes with a 4K, and that's the same with the Steelbook version. So there's no like repackaged or reissued old Blu-ray, or there's no remastered Blu-ray. There's just the 4K disc in this thing. But if you have 4K, it's definitely worth getting because it looks really, really wonderful. They are doing a 2-night re-release of the thing theatrically in the US late this month. So if you want to check it out theatrically, definitely go check that out. But I'd really, really recommend you guys grabbing this. It looks really, really fantastic. I think Paramount has some blemishes on their 4K their record, but some really fantastic remasters, and this definitely is one of the great ones. I very much appreciate the fact that Paramount bought a stake in Miramax, and so they're getting all these remasters from that catalog out where you have it, while they're doing the stuff directly themselves, licensing out to Criterion or Vinegar Syndrome or Shout or whatever the hell it is. I like the fact that that library is finally being opened up to get new 2Ks and 4K remasters and new bonus features or anything like that. Just things getting reissued here and there and everywhere, and getting them out of that old, terrible sort of like Echo Bridge sort of era that we had like 10 years ago, which a lot of them were just really garbage sort of transfers and masters and stuff like that. I really like the fact that a lot of things are getting a fresh new coat of paint in that regard. So there's that. And because Steve and I discussed it on our last lunch break in between commentaries, I did grab up the 4K of The Abyss, and we are doing a 35th anniversary commentary for this in August for the exact 35th anniversary of it. So look for it then. I haven't popped it in, but since I saw the re-release back in December in the theater in a Regal RPX, or I keep saying that, it used to be a Regal, it's now a Cinemark XD, so anything like that. It was a really big screen, really good sound system, really good picture, so I really don't need to rewatch it to kind of let you guys know it looks really good. There are additional bonus features that I obviously haven't covered yet, but definitely important you guys should check out my friend Oliver Harper's video regarding this, the True Lies Blu-ray, the Aliens 4K and stuff like that. He covered all three of the 4Ks that were recently released about James Cameron's films in separate videos. I definitely implore you guys to go check those out. He did a really wonderful job to pinpoint things, kind of assess things, compare them back to previous transfers, all that type of stuff. He did a very comprehensive job of it. So definitely go check those out. But I had to grab this thing up, because it came back in stock on Amazon, and as it was kind of back ordered and stuff like that here and there and everywhere, it came back up. We talked about it on the day we were recording, and I went ahead and straight up ordered it. So here, there, and everywhere. So really good type of stuff. Grabbing it up with all the slip covers. So this is the only one of those I'm grabbing because I'm fine with Aliens on the old anthology Blu-ray set, and True Lies I'm not that big of a fan of, and considering it's kind of the worst, being assessed as kind of the worst quality one of the three, I'm not that fussed about grabbing it. I'm just not. But something else I did grab for a perspective retro video series, which I'll have to incorporate some other elements of the home video history with it, was that thinking about, again, these numerous versions of certain films, one of them did come to mind that I'm not well versed in, is the fact that I grabbed up Close Encounters of the Third Kind on 4K, which has all three versions of the film remastered, along with bonus features and stuff like that. I thought that would be a very interesting thing to delve into. I did recently come across a collector's edition soundtrack at Half Price Books, but since I've been to like three or four of them lately, I don't remember exactly which one it was. But I checked the one locally, it wasn't there. I knew it once I went in there. That wasn't the one. So it was either one 20 minutes north of me or 20 minutes south of me. So I'll have to figure that one out eventually. But anything like that, or whatever the case is. But grabbing this up because I'll eventually do my research on the whole thing. I've already looked at some of the information on the Laserdisc themselves, which I think the Criterion Laserdisc does have. Bonus features are not on this. So Criterion's a little, typically pretty protective about not licensing out a lot of their exclusive bonus features. Sometimes they've let a few things get licensed out, like one of the, I think it was the 35th anniversary, or one of the original Scream Factory Halloween release. They did give the original Jamie Lee Curtis, John Carpenter commentary track over that, but that was not reissued for the 4K. So sometimes things leaked out at certain points in time, but now they're being a lot more kind of keeping things locked up in that regard. So if I come across it, I might grab that for a retro video series, kind of detail things out and have as much content. It's probably up on YouTube. Whatever making of feature they have. Someone probably ripped it up on YouTube, captured, threw it up there, but I'll keep an eye out. But that's definitely something much further down the line, because obviously I watched the film only once ever. And so it's probably the theatrical cut. I don't know. It was something that someone uploaded on YouTube, I don't know, 12 years ago. And that's the only way I've ever watched it. So I really need to take a lot of time on this. So don't expect it anytime soon, but I'll kind of creep up on it a little bit here and there, read up on it, look things up, find things out. But there's a lot of interesting details in terms of like theatrical re-releases, many different versions issued on home video. So it'd be a nice thing to kind of approach and kind of break down that regard. And this doesn't kind of usurp pretty much anything else, doesn't force anything else to be canceled on the retro video series, like numerous versions of Star Trek the Motion Picture or anything like that. It's just one of these things I kind of get off on my head. Kind of an interesting thing. It was on sale for about $18 for the 4K. I thought that was a fantastic price for it, so that's a good type of thing. It doesn't come with a digital code since the thing came out several, maybe like 6, 7 years ago or something like that. So they did reissue the digital code for that thing. But the other 4K I grabbed, because I talked about when I saw it in the theater back in November, that I really did enjoy the Marvels, and I decided, well, it dipped down in price. It was hovering, it was staying about $30, $29.99. And it kind of dipped down to about $23.99 or something else like that. I figured, okay, I'll snag it up because I'm feeling good, and it's a really nice kind of hollow foil type of thing going on with the entire slipcover. So this is the thing I sat down and watched Saturday night after I had the entire head crunching problems with the copyright shit on YouTube. I decided, okay, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to break something out that I'm just going to have fun with and enjoy it. Had a good time with it again. Had to futz around with the settings on my TV and stuff like that because for whatever reason, the Blu-ray player and the TV are just not cooperating in 100% or whatnot. I had to reset the entire signal settings on the whole thing because it was doing an HDR to SDR conversion, so I had to go back and fumble around with everything. I didn't know what the player or the TV. Eventually it was a TV. I just had to kind of reset what the signal it was reading on the whole thing and reading stuff back and forth. It's all complicated shit, but eventually figured it out. And so there's that. So it looked really good. It looked really good. It does look good. I didn't go through any of the bonus features. I just sat down and watched the film, and I was, again, very pleased. I was very happy with it. And again, seeing Amanda Villani as Ms. Marvel keeps wanting me to go back and actually watch her series on Disney Plus. But we'll see if I get around to that. I don't want to pay for more than one streaming service per month because I just know I'm not going to spend enough time on more than one per month to justify paying for more than one. So I gotta just dull things out and figure out what I'm going to do with everything in that regard. Well, I'll probably eventually get around to it and stuff like that. But I just really enjoyed the film. Even though it's flawed, there's problems with it. Some things a little less, but on the second viewing, it kind of flowed a little bit better. Things didn't stick out as much, like, oh, that feels a little underdeveloped, or this can maybe slightly rushed here and there and everywhere. I just felt like it moved along pretty well. I liked it well enough. So there's that, and there's a lot of stuff I grabbed up again as music. So a lot of things I went to half-price books. Some things I got online on eBay and whatnot, but I did find the 13th Warrior CD soundtrack at Half Price Books, the one right near me. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, because I just downloaded for the use in the video I made, I just kind of downloaded off of YouTube or something like that. But I really wanted to actually get the physical thing because, like, I was itched up grabbing it on iTunes. But when I found this, I'm like, yeah, I'll grab this physical CD thing because you get all the little production photos and a little bit of liner notes in the whole thing, which you don't get when you get a lot of these digital versions and whatnot. Every so often you'll find one that does have a digital booklet that you can download into a PDF and read it in that regard, but just seeing like the album layout on the back cover, stuff like that, it's really nice type of stuff. So I don't have quite as many. I have a lot of Star Trek, Goldsmith soundtracks. I've got the Alien one. I don't really have anything else. So it was nice to have another physical Goldsmith soundtrack in my hands to kind of hold on to that whole thing. So again, like I said in the video, really good soundtrack. It did a fantastic job with it. Goldsmith aces almost every single time in that regard. But something else I've been grabbing up, because in the last year, I've really gotten like much deeper into the music of Natalie Merchant, and I think she's absolutely fantastic. One of the best voices. I just find her such a warm presence to listen to her voice and stuff like that. Just like whether it's interview, live stuff. The live videos I've watched, fabulous. She's so good live. Just singing everything with so much love and warmth and passion and stuff like that. Great stuff. And so I have grabbed up, oddly enough, these are all seem to be used copies, so anything like that. But I have grabbed up her first 3 albums on CD. And then last week I was making rounds looking for stuff, hunting things down that I didn't particularly actually find what I was looking for. But did grab up her live in concert from '99, which is only about like the stuff on the first two albums. But I keep wanting to find the DVD, but the DVD is very hard to find for any decent price. It's so long out of print, and you're gonna be paying like stupid money for it. But I figure, well, I'll grab up the CD version of the whole thing and kind of hold out hope one day maybe, because even the DVD concert footage doesn't even seem to really be up on YouTube anywhere. Maybe partially, but I really haven't found anyone that has like the complete version of the whole thing. So that's kind of a lost thing to time and whatnot. But today I did get this in the mail. Got here a lot faster than I expected it because I just ordered on Saturday. But this is back in 2015, she did a re-recording of her original debut solo album, Tiger Lily, called Paradise Is There, the new Tiger Lily recordings. As something was like, after 20 years, she felt like the songs had lived with her so much, kind of grown with her, stuff like that. They've taken on new complexions, new meanings, stuff like that here and there. And she really wanted to go back to the original album that was so celebrated and loved and try to reapproach it, kind of rearrange the songs to certain degrees, maybe add some more things onto them, maybe strip some of the things away. So I was like, one of those things, like, I had to get the original album, one of the first things I got. But as I already had like a compilation album she put out about 2005 or whatnot, I've been listening to that here and there and everywhere, but I really wanted to delve deeper into her stuff, so I had to get the actual full albums, and they do sound better on the full albums than the retrospective CD. But I just try the thing about the mastering. Usually on compilations, sometimes dynamic ranges get crunched down, stuff like that. Usually, unlike much more the original CDs, they tend to be a little bit better mastered with more dynamic range. But anything like that. So this was her re-recording that album, and I listened to it over and over again on streaming and stuff like that. I was like, I really need to get the physical version of the whole thing, and it's even better looking than I had, because whole slipcover thing, and this is entire hardcover booklet and everything like that. It's a whole digibook, and it's got the version with the bonus CD with the documentary on it, which I didn't particularly need because apparently the production company had uploaded up to Vimeo many years ago, as this was like released 9 years ago. So, but the fact is I got this for $15, which is the same cost as getting the CD only version anywhere else off of eBay. So I found myself fortunate in that regard. So I grabbed that and everything like that, and it's got, again, full lyrics, all the type of stuff, liner notes, all these things. So just a lot of things you just don't get with the digital versions, and that's just like, if I like something that much, I want to try to get it as physical as possible, and that's just a really fabulous type of thing. And this is a really good piece of work. It's a nice alternative version to listen to versus the original album, so I just find it's a really, really wonderful thing. And she, again, one of these voices that really hasn't changed over the years. She's just as good. She can perform the songs the same way between 25 years or whatnot or so. You listen to stuff she did a concert like 99, 95 or whatnot, then you go up to like something she did last year, and they're virtually identical. One of these people just hasn't lost anything with her voice, probably gained a little bit of extra character through the years or whatnot, but she's fabulous. Really, really fabulous. Really, really love her. And I did grab up, I had this CD before, I'll keep this brief, but I had this CD before. The thing is, Breach is, I think, is the third album from the Wallflowers, maybe their second major studio album. But I had to get this one in particular because I did have this before. I sold it off maybe not all that long ago, but I kind of got back into music a little bit, kind of exploring where they've been over the last couple decades. And I really wanted to get this again, but I had a bonus CD with like an acoustic version and an alternate take of the first single they put out of this whole thing, Sleepwalker. So I tracked this down specifically through Discogs because I had a specific barcode for it for this particular version. So I had to go through eBay, looking at the barcode, the UPC, to make sure I could get the right one. And this came back to me just fine, and a really good thing. And the last CD I grabbed up recently was NXS Listen Like Thieves. I grabbed up two of their albums, Kick and X, back in last summer, and I kind of remembered that I really wanted to grab the other one, and so I kind of was looking around for it as I was running around to different places here and there, kind of hunting things down. Because one of the things when I was watching Oliver's Aliens 4K review was that he was mentioning stuff back to the THX Laserdisc that was prepared for Aliens back in the 90s. And I was kind of like, I'd like to get that. I'd really like to grab that whole thing. So I got it in my head to kind of run around trying to hunt it down. And I didn't find shit. I didn't find a goddamn thing. But I was a little bit hooked on trying to find that because the color scheme is completely different. Very different type of stuff. It's a little bit here and there. It's a little bit more purplish colors in the whole thing that we kind of shifted out in all the different more recent releases and whatnot. So I was kind of up on that. Plus, it's a remastered version, THX, from the theatrical cut, which I do kind of prefer because of it's just a better paced version of the entire film, despite there's some subplots I do think do add more to the film. But largely, I think the special edition is a little clunky on the pacing, and I don't really prefer it that much. But something else I recently did was the fact that I finally got through the entire Star Wars Thrawn trilogy in audiobook form. And apparently I started this about a year ago. And these are fairly long audiobooks because they're unabridged and they're full-scale production type of thing. With the fabulous voice actor Mark Thompson. This guy is just spectacular. The work he put in this whole thing is just beyond comprehension. The fact that he has so many different voices for so many distinct characters and none of them sound really any bit alike. That's talent, man. For all these characters, these things run between like 12 and 15, 16 hours a piece. That's a lot of stuff to fill into with all this type of stuff. And again, the production quality stuff I've gone on about before is fantastic, but it's as good as everyone has ever said. The Thrawn trilogy is absolutely wonderful. Great. I just feel like it's such a natural progression after Return of the Jedi, feeling where these characters would go next. Another story that's not repeating anything that you've had before. It's getting new ideas, new types of characters, new interactions, more expansive stuff about the entire world, the universe that they inhabit. All these different things. I like everything and did the whole thing. So it takes since there's such expansive books, there's certain elements like I'm not quite at a certain point in time like, well, I'm not quite certain what end this part of the story is going to add into by the end of the entire thing, but eventually all does come together. It all pays off. It all ties in with everything else like that and just really creates a very good story overall. That's like it's such a good piece of work. It makes me feel that original trilogy vibe so strongly while still bringing the characters forward, moving them on, expanding them, creating more depth for them, more conflicts to deal with, both internal and external, all these different things. It feels like such a great next progression so much. I just feel like it's exactly everyone's ever said about it. All the praise it's gotten is exactly pinpoint perfect. You can see exactly why these three novels as a full story brought a resurgence to Star Wars in the early 90s to get up on the comic books and the other novels, all the video games, all that type of stuff. It just really was that catalyst, that kind of spark that kind of launched everything off as you build up through all the different stuff through the rest of the decade. And beyond that, it's such a seminal, absolutely pertinent type of story for any Star Wars fan who's into this type of stuff to really kind of delve into. Even though it's not canon anymore, it's still fantastic. Fantastic type of work. And I really want to get more Star Wars audiobooks. The thing is, a lot of them are abridged versions from back in the day, so they only run about like 2 or 3 hours. Fair enough type of stuff, but I really would like to have more of this quality, the full production type of stuff, all over the place, that type of stuff. And so there's some that are much more the in-canon stuff right now, and there's a few that are more the EU type of stuff from back in the day, the Legends line and stuff like that. They had recently released like The Courtship of Princess Leia, which takes place a little earlier than the Thrawn trilogy type of stuff. And so the recently released one, I think Mark Thompson also did that one. I could be wrong about that, but he's done a lot of the things. There's a couple other ones that are involving Thrawn and kind of follow-ups to Thrawn and stuff like that. They're also narrated by Thompson. I want to kind of see what else is out there, kind of get a feel for stuff that might break up, tell a little bit of a different story in that regard, and delve into things here and there. So I'm very much interested to keep looking through everything on Audible. Audible, since my subscription ended, but Audible had another promotion. We got 3 months for 99 cents per month, so I just threw back up on that. So I'll be grabbing some stuff here and there and everywhere soon. I just want to kind of feel it out, but I've been really jazzed up. I really thought it was really fantastic. Definitely go check it out. Anything like that. So definitely get the unabridged versions that are up on Audible or Apple Books or anything like that, wherever you want to grab your audiobooks from. They're definitely up there. Go check them out. I just thoroughly do it. I had to take some kind of breaks here and there because as I was also doing a lot of these Star Wars retro video series videos along the way, you get a little oversaturated with it, so I had to take some breaks, walk away from it for maybe about 2 or 3 months, stuff like that. So if I was listening to it a lot more regularly, I would have gotten it done a lot sooner than this, but it was all really well worthwhile. Once I got back into listening to it, it all just kept flowing on. I just kept going and going and going, and was really just having a great time. All this stuff to get up to the climax of the entire story is really just fascinating, exciting type of stuff. Really liked it. I really liked it so much. So guys, that's the highest endorsement I can give. Totally. 100%. But what I did on Sunday to get myself back up on a very good mindset is the fact that as I had this entire idea for the weekend I was going to have, I went off track because of the YouTube crap, was that I was gonna when I was going off hunting stuff down at a place that ended up having shit. A place called Rolling Stones Records, kind of midway between here and Chicago. I've been there about twice beforehand, but I never really bought anything there, and I didn't buy anything this time, so I kind of writing it off completely. It's a nice place. It just doesn't quite have the selection of stuff I'm looking for most of the time. And a lot of their like Blu-rays and the 4Ks, they'll carry like Arrow stuff or anything like that, but they'll be like full price. But you know, like regular prices you get from like Amazon or other dealers or like a deep discount or anything like that, they're charging like the full like $40, $50 or whatnot for stuff. It's not really the place to go for that stuff unless you really just got cash flowing all over the place and you got no problems with it. But the other thing was getting back to my goddamn comics, getting back to the stuff that I've had sitting around for months. And so I just got into this whole thing on Sunday. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to read this stuff. I'm going to get through as much of it as I can. I got through all of it. All the Nightwing stuff I have is now read completely. So I finished up doing Volume 3 of Tim Seeley's run for Nightwing Must Die. Now, this is the lesser one of the three that I read. There's one that I liked the least. But it has some great points. I like the fact that you have Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne teamed up. They're a great pairing. Again, calling back to when Dick Grayson took over the mantle of Batman. And Damian Wayne was his Robin at the time. So that's rekindling that relationship here. Having that stuff go off between the two characters. It was wonderful dynamics written in that regard. But I was a little disappointed in the storytelling overall. Because it was one of the things where like every single issue is setting up a different villain. Each issue you get to is like, oh, I think that guy is the main villain. But no, now there's another guy behind him. And then there's another guy behind him. I felt it would just kind of kept tricking you out and faking you out and kind of pulling gimmicks out of his ass in a certain way. And just, it was a type of thing where he's carrying this character called Deathwing, who's like this person who's been twisted up into a dark mirror of Dick Grayson in that regard. And it kind of rolls off to someone called Dr. Pig, who creates these Dolatrons. And there's a guy called Dr. Simon Hurt, who's at the head of this whole thing. It was just a little ragged as a story for me. I just didn't feel like the story itself worked for me. I thought a lot of the kind of thematic elements that are kind of involved with it, kind of dealing with his girlfriend Sean and dealing with stuff with Damian Wayne and a few other things, kind of being a reflection on who Dick Grayson is, what he stands for, was good, but I felt like the journey getting through all this menagerie of different villains kind of dealing with the whole thing didn't do it for me. But it had a nice saving grace at the end of it, which was maybe kind of a bridge into what the next storyline would be beyond this whole thing. And they had this wonderful crossover, this nice team up between Nightwing and Wally West Flash. This was wonderful. It was nice, just a night in the life of these two guys, kind of just going out in the town and have them encounter this guy who's up to no good and dealing with things, and just this guy can like pause time but it was really good. Just like the dynamics between Wally and Dick were fantastic. It was wonderful. It was fun. I loved it so much. And like, I'd love to see more of that type of stuff all over the place. I thought it was really just a really fun piece of work, and just kind of tipped off little things like, okay, he got me interested in Volume 4, which is him dealing with Blockbuster, which is an interesting thing because after I finished Volume 3 here, I went ahead and cracked open Tom Taylor's inaugural run on Nightwing, which also involves Blockbuster, but it's a nice overall setup. The artwork on this stuff from Tim Seeley, from Javier Fernandez, it's great type of stuff. But when you start looking at the stuff that was done here by Bruno Redondo, lovely type of stuff. Just the colors just have a nice, wonderful glow to them. Just like, it's really just so inviting, so wonderful. Just the artwork is fantastic. This whole thing, and setting up this character of Heartless, was this new villain for him that I did catch up in I think it was a Nightwing annual last year. They had a little bit of something with his backstory, and they're dealing with the corruption of Bloodhaven, and dealing with some other things here and there, and setting a Blockbuster as the big crime boss to kind of deal with the whole thing. And I really kind of tipped off this one little piece they had for the start of Part 2, where Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon, they go off to this pizza place, and it's Marvin George's Pizza in terms of Marv Wolfman and George Perez as the guys who created Nightwing. I picked up that immediately, and it's right next to the creative credits on the issue. It's like, these guys know their stuff. And they got callbacks later on when there's like, they're calling in like Coast Guard backup later on, and it's like there's callbacks to like Tim Seeley, of all people, who had just finished the run on, and there's a lot of other things. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but there's little callbacks. There's like love letters all over this thing. It's fantastic. My sister got this hardcover version of it for Christmas for me, so it's taking that long to get around to this, and I sat down and read this all in one afternoon, cover to cover. It's that good. I definitely just absolutely, just look at that. That just shows you right there. That's the entire lineage of Dick Grayson as a character there, showing that sort of thing. It's a wonderful story. It's absolutely fantastic. It sets up so many things. I see where else the story can go from that point onwards. I think Tom Taylor's just concluding his run on Nightwing now, and this was published back in 2021 on this whole thing. So good couple of years running this whole thing, and people praised some stuff here. He started doing a run on Titans, all that type of stuff. All this stuff, just fabulous. Both of these guys do wonderful work with Nightwing. Like I said, Volume 3 of Team Seeley's run, I wasn't quite on board with it. Maybe other people feel a bit more positive about it, but that ending little issue with him and Wally West really sparked something else. Like, okay, I'd like to see where this sparks off to the next storyline. That's got me more intrigued. And then after that, they've got the volume after that, Volume 5, has got Raptor's Revenge, who is the kind of this wild card character from the Better Than Batman thing in here. The first volume. He's a very interesting bad guy. This guy kind of teams up with Dick, but kind of betrays him. But he's kind of that guy's a little bit of a mirror to Nightwing and Dick Grayson and whatnot. He's got an interesting backstory that kind of ties in with the old Haley's Circus and stuff like that. So I really like to get up to more Raptor in that regard. So all this stuff's got me very much jazzed up. I do want to maybe delve back into some of the Superman stuff or grab some other Batman stuff up. I do have some Scott Snyder real thick volume over there that I do have to get through probably soon, because I've had it for maybe a year or something else like that. After I went back and reread Scott Snyder's original run on Batman, I wanted to get the next thing, which was Death of the Family. Some people have a little debatable type of things about how the story went down and whatnot, but I grabbed all that stuff because I thought Snyder's one was really fantastic on Batman. I want to get more of it. So I grabbed that one and the separate trade paperback that has all the tie-in issues. So it's a lot of stuff to get through, but I'll probably transition here and there just for a little bit of a different flavor and get into other things. So I want to get back into stuff real soon. So can't go out to a comic book store on Saturday since we're recording then, but maybe Sunday I'll kind of get a plan in place And I did recently download a new app called Comic Geeks to kind of catalog my entire collection over here. So it's a lot of stuff. I've only gotten 64 comics logged in this whole thing. I got a lot of stuff over here to kind of get it through, but you can scan barcodes. It doesn't read all the barcodes. Some things are not quite as well cataloged in that regard, but it has, if you just type things in, it'll bring up all the issues, the entire run. You can just tap on it, add it into your collection. I thought it was a really good app, so I very much like it, and it's free. You don't have to pay for anything, so it's very good in that regard. And so it's got all different things. You can get pull lists on the whole thing, kind of mark down what issues you're looking for, a wish list, stuff like that. So I thought that was very good. So if I'm really jazzed up to get back into reading more of the stuff, grab up other stuff, that would be a good thing to have on hand there. So there's certain issues I'm looking for. I'm looking through bins or back issues, stuff like that. A little easier to kind of keep them there instead of stuff on Notes app sort of thing in that regard. So all good stuff. So that's a lot of stuff, guys. I'm really passionate about a lot of stuff. Hope you guys are very much excited for all that type of stuff. Let me know what you feel about any of this. Anything I've talked about. If you saw Fall Guy, let me know. If you're now interested in checking out, let me know as well. So guys, I really think that film's really worthwhile. Go check it out, guys. So, like I said, Rambo Last Blood commentary up now. We'll be recording the It commentaries over the weekend here. And 52 Picket will hit on Saturday night at the latest. And so from there on out, we'll have a good, easy way to go about things. I'll be a little bit more jammed up at my schedule the next couple of weeks. But the last week in May, I'll have completely off to do whatever the hell I want. And I'll decide what I want to do by that time. But good things are coming up. So guys, thanks so much for checking things out. And hope you enjoyed everything here. And thanks much. Take care.